place like our home. Hoist the sails high, let the solar winds blow. This cosmic sea shanty is a tale we all know. Navigating constellations, charting the unknown. With the stardust in our veins, we are never alone. From the Milky Way shores to the depths of black holes, we'll sing our sea shanty as the universe unfolds. Sail up high to the galactic sky on our moonlit voyage. We'll keep reaching high. We're sailors of the cosmos, a crew full of might. Let's sing this sea shanty under starry night's light.
Hoist the sails and let the wind guide our way. We're the spacemen sailing the cosmic bay. From Jupiter to Saturn we'll deliver our freight on our starship, sailing through the interplanetary strait. With a hardy crew and a cargo of dreams, through the nebula's mist we'll forge our own schemes. In the vastness of space where no man has been, we'll navigate, chart the unexplored galactic highway. Give home maze upon the starry sea. We're the spacemen sailing through infinity. With our voices loud and our spirits free, we'll voyage across the celestial sea. Oh, 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 voyage across the celestial sea. Oh.
Indiana madness of the cosmos we set sail. Through crimson skies our ship prevails. Across the stars a celestial flight, metal warriors bound by might. Ooh, yeah. In this realm of shadows darkness unfurls, a symphony of chaos, where planets whirl and nebula, a fury untamed, sailing through the void where nothing's the same. We ride through the cosmos, a metal storm, defying gravity, our spirits transform through supernovas and celestial clouds. Our stellar voyage forever in the skies.
Digging deep in the Martian soil, searching for that precious ore. With pickaxes and heavy hearts, we're the miners of the cosmic shore. On this barren land, we march as one, unearthing treasures under the sun. In the cratered plains where no one dreamt, we're the pioneers on this frontier we're sent. Oh, we mine on the red planet soil, drilling down, down, down for the treasures we toil. With grit and determination, we push ahead for Mars' hidden riches. We're truly bred. We're truly bred.
Sailing through the cosmos, it's my final voyage, leaving Earth behind, seeking stars to my homage in the depths of space. When no one can hear, I'll sing my space.
Whoever designed my jacket was a genius. I've got tactical energy drink holders. Just need to put a straw in there and I can just...
Bidding farewell to this world, no tears left to cry.
Good morning, everybody.
Constellations as my
I hope you're all doing well.
I'll navigate to the outer realm of my fate.
Alright. It looks like the settings are mostly the same and correct, which is always good. What are we doing? Copying that, pasting it there. For any persons that are interested in such things. And then... how is everyone doing? I hope everyone's doing well. And let me start at the beginning. Okay. So YouTube seems to have fixed their problem with the user counts, from what I can see. We're already more than yesterday. That's awesome. Okay, we can calm down on the music. And just clickety-clicking, some quick clickety-clicks. There we go. Okay. Crusader, Marcus, Anthony, John, Sir, James. Hope you're all doing well. Samantha, same to you. And Lord Volpex. We've got a whole host of people in today. Donald, good morning. Hope you're doing well. And also John. Hope you're doing well. Hope everyone's doing well. I need one of those helmets with the beer holders, except for energy drinks. It needs to glow an ominous green, like radioactive green. That'll probably be the best suited for me. Excuse me. But on the cold front today, what is the temperature? Ish. That would be 16 degrees Celsius, not 16 degrees Fahrenheit. We actually do have a camel back. I just imagine pouring energy drinks into it would ruin it. Country is South Africa. There you go. We're in a decent winterish day. Probably, well, I wonder, what is the average winter temperature up here? Average winter temperature. 17 degrees. So just a ball hair above average for winter. Sorry? Yeah. So, 17 high, 3 degrees low. It's about average. Yeah. Well, anything with perishable goods, I'd imagine. Or residue. Yes. Time travel and then also space travel is. I don't like these cats. They don't crack open. They just hiss at you. It's like an annoyed cat. You ever do a joke so often that it becomes muscle memory? Like the pinky out thing? For me. I used to do it all the time, like in a mocking way. Now I find myself just doing it when I drink. For no other reason than it's muscle memory. Alrighty. What are we doing here? Closing Discord. Yeah, I mean, we rarely ever see snow here. Never get below 0. It's very, very rare. But I mean, you get used to whatever weather you live in. So. Oh, at least that's what they tell me. My dad's suffering a little bit in England. Temperatures are slightly different there than here. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, this one, it's because I've broken it a couple times and it doesn't really listen to me. This one is, I don't know. It just decides sometimes to stick out. I think if you've got big hands, like a normal cup, you do that. Yeah, so I've seen snow twice in my lifetime. And it snowed once before I was born in Joburg. So Joburg is very much not a snow place. It's very rare here. I mean, unless you're in the mountains. Which, ironically, I'm higher than the mountains, but the mountains get the weather on the way up from the coast. So they can keep the snow, quite honestly. Our roads are horrible to start off with. I hate to imagine what it would be like with frozen roads. I mean, people just lose their minds when it rains, let alone snows. Not to mention the potholes. Wait, we need echo. The potholes. Need to get one of those soundboards with voice effects. Just hit the button. Although, I mean, I'm not a very big stream watcher. But I've watched some streams where the people have voice boards and they tend to overuse it, in my experience. And it just becomes annoying. But, again, that could just be me. Fair enough, Donald, fair enough. That's not good, Anthony. Sorry to hear that. Tales told in the dark. How are you doing? We can tell tales in the dark, but my computer screen makes light, so we don't have to anymore. Yeah, it's probably closer to 15, 14 here. I can feel it in my knuckles. The arthritis in my knuckles starts acting up at about 15 and below. But thankfully the room I'm in is quite warm. I'm glad to hear that, Tails. Glad to hear that. Alright. Well, I don't think Twitch is going to beat YouTube today. We've got 21 in YouTube and we've got 3 on Twitch. Oh, itchy, yeah. Yeah, so I checked briefly on the 24-hour stream and it's back to normal numbers. So, whatever they did yesterday seems to have sorted itself out. Coincidentally, and I don't know whether this is related, last night's premiere was the best premiere the whole week, so I don't know whether it uses the same system of understating or overstating, but thank you for the gifted membership, Blyden Robinson. Thank you very much. It's very much appreciated. Oh, we're up to 4 on Twitch. We're getting there. Now that, because we hit 10 yesterday, I expect that every day. You know, you gotta raise your expectations. Well, very much appreciated for popping past, Donald. It's always appreciated. The problem is, I mean, the immediate effect is obvious, but the far-reaching effect is very difficult to tell when a mistake like that happens. Well, not a problem, Blyden. It is very much appreciated that you pop past the door. I know time is precious, and I appreciate you spending at least some of it with us. Itchy ear. I think I got a mosquito bite in the back of my ear. But mosquitoes shouldn't be around this time of year. Well, I'm glad it helps you get through. Anything to make life easier is always a good thing, I think. As long as it's illegal. Not illegal, as long as it is legal. Right. Oh, I can sit back. Let me just change the angle. Cutting off circulation to my lower half, which is okay. I sit down most of the time, but it's not that good. Oh. Neck's better today. That's good. Not great, but better. And my watch says I slept for 6 whole hours. That's awesome. Not only did I sleep for hours, it was not great sleep. So, 2 days ago, or whenever it was. Well, I'm glad it helped, Nunya. I really am. We had that you might be a Death World redneck things. So I came up with one recently. It's like, you might be a gamer. If your digital watch detects that you're napping when you're not napping and you're playing games, that means you're using the minimum amount of movement to play games. Moving the fingers on both hands. That's it. So I think it's a naughty badge to convince your watch that you're napping while playing games. That is radioactive spam. Yes, I definitely need circulation. You never want to get a thrombosis. Blood clot in the legs. It's never good. It is also a member-only emote, if I remember correctly. So, you can add custom emotes to members, and that's one of them. I can't remember why we did it, but there was a whole thing about it from one of the streams. Both my ears are itchy. Very weird. Yep, that's definitely all the channel membership emotes on YouTube. I'm not even going to try. I know the last one is lymphedema. Flebble? Fucked if I know. That's a PH, YouTube. It's not the F1. It's good. It's fine. If it's PH, it's not the same word. How is that an elbow cough? That looks like a dab to me. Who sticks out their right arm when they're sneezing into their left elbow? You're striking a pose when you sneeze. A little bit of both, probably. We're doing 2 TFOS and 2 re-TFOS today. That's the plan. So I'm looking at the code for it. because that's what pops up on my combined chat. And the dab is listed as elbow cough. Maybe, maybe not. Yes, it's elbow cough. Very weird stuff. I suppose you've got to give it a name. Multitasking. There you go. Very, very, very sought after skill. Multitasking. Dabbing and sneezing into your elbow at the same time. Just in case everyone around you needed more information that you're weird. I don't even think I've ever struck a dab in my life. Yeah, allergies, not fun. Thankfully, those seem to have calmed down for me, which is nice. My biggest problem now is people are burning weird stuff. It just happens every winter. So, that messes with my sinuses. Sounds about right. Okay. Time to get some work done. What do you think? Alright, if you're new, what I do is I copy the story from the website to the thingamabobby over there, and I assign voices. And once I'm done, I shall read it. Further information shall be given at the appropriate times. Not that there's much. Excuse me. Don't know why the coffee's fighting back. Normally it's the energy drinks. Right. So we have 20 male voices, and 4 female voices, and 1 child voice. But all the voices are basically listed over here. And in the description, if you are curious as to what they are named. The names, however, are not my fault. Just saying. That is chat. Chat decided on the names. Blame chat. I am innocent, Your Honor. Alrighty. And 1, which is just my normal narration voice. I don't know whether I said, but I'm going to get my fingerprints taken on Friday. It's exciting. Sarcasm. But, yeah, they need to take the fingerprints to run a criminal check. So they can give me a letter of thing that I'm not wanted for any crimes, and I'm allowed. Please clearance, that's what it's called. This is probably going to be the most difficult line to say in this story. due to habit. Well, thankfully they only want the country I'm currently living in, so they're not going to be checking internationally, which is probably good. No, that's weird. Postmatic. M2, I think we'll go with there. M1. M2. M1. M2. M1. M1. Oh. I suppose I can actually turn that off. Too much interference. M2. Nope, M1. M2. Itch. M1. M2. M1. M2. M1. No, that's not M2. I think we'll go with M10 here. M2. M1. Nah, I just think I drank some of this with the coffee, so it's probably that. Just a errant burp. Coffee doesn't generally give me the burps. Awesome, Joshua. That's great to hear. I think it'll take quite a while for new ones to come out. Books, that is, and audio books. You need quite a whack of content. And he also releases the books in a different order than the web novel. But you should be able to read up to current on... Well, no. There's only 1,000 chapters of Behold Humanity. So, it is finished. It is done. It is completeness. I started up a new series now. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. Okay, so officer and captain are the same person in this case. Good evening, Charles. I hope you're doing well. Good morning, Phoenix. Hope you're doing well. No, they're two different people now. I think we've missed a person here. Fair enough, John. I think we do it with when we renew our driver's licenses here. It's just an election year, so police stuff takes a little bit longer. Well, we've got a what's that? We queue for you type service doing it for us. So we need to go there, do our fingerprints in front of an officer of the court, and then they'll do all the rest. Because no matter how thrilling standing in a bureaucratic line is, I'd rather avoid it. This story is called The Creature from the Rift. It's a pleasure. When I had my passport renewed, my South African passport, I stood waiting for 12 hours, and I was one of the first in the queue. So anytime you have to deal with a government department, that is at least one full day gone. At least. So if I can pay somebody to do that for me, I'll pay somebody to do that for me. And it's not like they had chairs and stuff. They had chairs near the end, but we stood outside in the sun and waited for 4 hours. Okay, so this is a corporal, so we'll just do that. Emergency room. 21 hours. That's the longest we've waited for an emergency room visit in a public hospital. Is 21 hours. You can't go and come back. You need to stay there the entire time. Yeah. And that was an emergency room. This wasn't just like at a hospital, normally. Yeah. Yeah. It's quite bad. Good morning, Panic Cowardly. Hope you're doing well this morning. It's not good, Stephen, but I am glad that you're okay. Good morning, Wolfos. Hope you're doing well. I'm glad to hear that, Wolfos. All right. On to step number 2. Teleprompter open. Well, teleprompter software open. And we can start the checklist. The mental checklist. Drag this over here. First off, to all the new people, welcome. It's very nice to have you here. Thank you for spending your time with me. But we're going to head into recording a video. So what's going to happen is I'm going to click on this click. We're going to go with green screen. Ooh. Why do we do this? Because the video editing software is way better at removing the green screen than the OBS software is. So that's why we do that. The second thing is when I narrate, I narrate. I don't look at chat. I don't faff. I just concentrate on what I need to do. So I will not see what you say. I will catch up once I have done. But until then, I won't be reading chat. But you can feel free to talk amongst yourselves. Most people do. And normally about food. So there you go. Yeah, that's basically it. I've started the video recording. I've started the audio recording. I am removing my glasses. All right. Sitting up straight. Time for a story. Need to neaten up the old beard, so it's not quite as unruly. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of TFOS. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called The Creature from the Rift, written by Going Over That Cliff. The quietness in the room was abruptly interrupted by the mechanical movement of gears in dire need of lubrication from the projector mounted on a rusty and squeaking stand on the back wall. The images projected on the white canvas did not help much in lightening the dark room. The images projected on the white canvas did not help much in lighting up the dark room. All one could see were the recordings of a security camera framing a long, lightless corridor. Many eyes were staring at the silent show as the only thing moving was a clock on the bottom of the projection. About 30 seconds after the start of the video, faint voices joined in the background noises. Faint voices joined the background noises. The piercing and terrified cries. The piercing and terrified cries that once echoed through the facility now rang fiercer, stronger, and louder than in the briefing room. As the screams were getting closer to the camera, one could see, for a split second, a couple of silhouettes running frantically in the upper corner. Pure white coats waving in the non-existent wind were in stark contrast to the dark color palette of the scene. Just as the two unnamed scientists ran further than the recording device could follow, a dark mass entered the room. The video was interrupted by a loud clanking noise as the commander struggled to press the rusty button of the projector. As the officer slowly walked to the small podium up front, dim lights turned on as low chatters and murmurs saturated the air. "This, ladies and gentlemen, is what we are against," said the old fox as his men liked to address him, pointing with a wooden stick at the nearly indistinguishable blob of pixels. "I will be blunt with you, it might end badly for us," continued the grey-haired officer, while inhaling from a smoking white stick, the third of the hour. I am sure all of you read the briefing, but I'll sum it up for those who just woke up. The situation is pretty bad." At a wave of his hand, the assistant carefully removed the film from the still spinning cogs of the projector and inserted a slide into the machine. Many squinted their eyes as a bright wall of text replaced the dark scene of nightmares. After waiting for everyone to settle down and adjust their irises, the captain thrusted his pointy stick into the fabric square hanging from the ceiling. "Our lab rats did it again. They pulled out yet another monster from the depths of hell. But this time it's far worse. It all started 3 months ago. Subject H666A was extracted successfully from the rift in a dormant state." With a gesture, the captain signaled his adjutant to show the following image. Many had a nervous and unexplainable shiver as the uncensored body of that creature came into full view. I think that's supposed to be uncensored, not uncensured. Many had a nervous and unexplainable shiver as the uncensored body of that creature came into full view. "This is our problem. A problem is so big that it can easily be an existential threat. And I am being serious about that. Acting on past experiences, our scientists placed the subject into a maximum security cell, as they always do, until an appropriate appraisal and classification can be assigned." As the officer stopped speaking, a new video recorded briefly blinded the unprepared eyes staring at the void. A white and bright room took the scene where the creature was standing still in the middle. Subject H6 acted very tamely once it woke up. It displayed curiousness and interest in its surroundings, but did not act in any way that could be categorized as violent by the standards observed in other subjects. When we confirmed the presence of vocal cords inside its body, we have seldomly recorded any sounds or calls. While the old fox continued explaining the rough physiology of the creature, documents and research files were being handed out to the audience. After a quick look at them, a young officer turned to her side to ask her more senior colleague, "Old man, what do you think?" As he was still staring at the papers in his wrinkly hands, the old veteran let out a grey puff of smoke, while carefully studying the object in their hands. "I don't like it. I don't like it, any of this." Spoke softly. "Why is that a different paragraph?" He spoke softly, still not distorting his gaze from the documents. It was not a good sign. Having known him for a long time, way before the man started wearing the badge, the younger officer stood in silent contempt. Afraid to speak her mind. The veteran of dozens of battles and survivor of hundreds of expeditions never expressed any concern or worry about any mission. General observation about the subject, the captain continued while lighting up another white stick. The subject is highly dangerous and capable. H6 is around the height of... The commander paused and turned around to face the photo of the monster they had the unfortunate task of taking down. After silently staring at it for long seconds, he looked again at the police officers seated before him in the smoky darkness. You know what, Beckett? I'm not reading all of this useless crap that you can look up yourself. I'll go straight to the important stuff. Another video recording started playing. The creature was calm and silent, surrounded by white lab coats and security staff as they were performing tests and measurements. The subject has been under observation for a little over 2 months. During the initial behavior and fitness assessments, H6 was highly collaborative and quiet. It let us do almost everything we needed to, only showing resistance during the most painful and most invasive procedures. Its pain resistance is remarkably high, and its body density shocked our scientists with more questions than answers. Unfortunately, we could not properly survey all of its biological features due to the recent events. For the sake of brevity, I'll only tell you what you need to know. Our prey is extremely intelligent, and I'm not saying that just because you're all idiots, said the captain jokingly, lightening up the mood just enough to catch a breather. In all seriousness, its brain-to-size ratio is 38% higher than ours. It has a nervous system many times more complex, and we suspect that the computational power is at least 3 times greater. Do you know what that means? As no one dared to utter a word, a bit disappointed, the captain let out a disgruntled scowl and continued speaking. This beast behaves completely differently than us. When in a stressful situation, we think and then act. It does not need to stop to contemplate the next actions. Sensing and hearing the uproar that such information caused, the commander took a couple minutes to come up with an appropriate example. Complex actions that would take us at least 30 seconds, such as loading an empty rifle, had been executed in less than 5 by the subject. Hearing this, the old man raised his head and abruptly interrupted his superior. You mean it learned how to operate a rifle? Mind your tone, Corporal. Yes, it did. And most impressively, we have confirmation that before yesterday, it had never touched or seen how to load one. Quite concerned at the new stream of information, the old man focused his eyelids and extended his ears. That's not all. The subject possesses impressively precise coordination of its body parts, especially its upper limbs. It can perform almost impossible complex motions simply by willing its body and mind to. Its ability to control almost every muscle and fiber of its body, combined with its frightening accurate hand-to-eye coordination, gives it a precision of movement comparable only to that of machines. Our scientists have also discovered that this being has stamina over 10 times that of our physiology. 10 times that of what our physiology allows us, while having a sprinting speed slightly faster than ours. To add salt to the wound, it is also significantly stronger and agile than our average, and there is evidence that he can adapt his senses, such as sight, smell, and hearing, based on the situation and his surroundings. What about his defense mechanisms? The corporal asked, more focused than ever. The creature can boast an advanced pattern recognition. And evidence has shown that it has familiarity with all the traps and hunting strategies that we have tried employing, unsuccessfully, I might add. Now, going back to the recent events, the creature Now, going back to recent events, the creature that has been quiet and obedient up until now has managed to breach containment and is now causing mass havoc inside the facility. We have confirmation of numerous casualties between the research staff and the on-site security forces. The number are still unknown, but we can confidently say that triple digits have been reached. Team Epsilon has been dispatched, but until they get there, the job is ours. Eliminate the bastard or gather as much information as possible while trying. The facility has been under quarantine since losing connection with the control room 4 hours ago.
What can we expect going in, sir?
Worriedly asked the rookie while shivering.
What can we expect going in, sir?
Worriedly asked the rookie while shivering, almost swallowed up by an uncontrollable and irrational fear after looking at an image from the reports that she was holding in her trembling hands. Everything. Expect everything and anything. Video feed from the security systems is offline, as all external communications, as all external electrical sources got cut off to limit any potential advantage. As all external electrical sources got cut off to limit any potential advantages the creature can cause. After saying this, the captain walked to the door and flicked the switch. Following a low humming, the lights hanging from the ceiling started flickering before illuminating the room as if it were day. As the officers rubbed their tired eyes, the captain whispered something into the ears of the old man, while giving him a folder none of the others even knew existed. That is all for now. Get ready. We are moving out at 0400 hours. As the police officers started making their way to the armory, the corporal and the rookie stood there for a couple more minutes.
You seem worried, old man.
I am.
I've never seen you like this. Is this creature so dangerous that even you are afraid of it?
Without saying a word, the experienced officer handed the folder to the inexperienced one, ordering her to look at it carefully, simply by looking at her in the eyes. After giving her a moment to soak in all the relevant information, he spoke again in a low tone, as if to not be heard in the empty room.
The scientists have made a grave mistake. I will talk with the captain before the mission. Maybe the guys coming after us might have been better chance of coming out in one piece.
Understanding the implications behind his words, all the young officer could do was stare at the blank wall in front of her. As the silence was getting too loud, the old man took a deep breath before lighting up a thick brown stick between his lips.
They labeled and treated it as a prey. What a joke.
This simple sentence was followed by another moment of seemingly endless silence. The rookie kept staring wide-eyed at the old man on his side, waiting for words to come out of his tired mouth.
I've hunted many animals and monsters in my life. You don't need to be a biologist to understand certain things. After hundreds of types, you start seeing the patterns. That thing, its eyes are pointed forward. Its nose is pointed forward. Its ears are pointed forward. Its whole body is made to be pointing forward.
Well, that's good then. It means that it has more difficulty sensing what's around him.
No! That's that way, baby. No, that way. No, that's way worse. What kind of prey does not concern itself with its surroundings? What kind of prey cares only about what is in front of it?
Only a predator does.
Yes, only something that searches. Only something that chases. Only something that hurts. Only something that hunts would have such distinctive traits. Looking straight in its eyes, you can see the killing machine that nature has engineered.
And they even say it's very clever.
That's the worst part. The scientists have mistakenly assumed that it is a solitary creature since it barely let out a sound. But it's obvious that during the experiments, it wasn't simply letting them due to the fear or curiosity. It simply wasn't letting them do. It wasn't simply letting them do it out of fear or curiosity. We were the ones that were under observation. It was studying our movements, our interactions, and our way of communicating, gauging our strengths and weaknesses. For months, we moved it left and right around the facility, for tests and whatnot. It must have been observing, memorizing the structure and layouts,
And he can even predict our traps.
Predict? No. Have you seen the video recordings? That thing is too smart for that. I'm sure of it. It knows those traps. It is familiar with our hunting strategies because it is a hunter itself. Genes passed down from the generation to generation have wired their brain to recognize our amateurish attempts to capture them. And by God, the most outrageous statement is that it's supposed to be a lonely creature.
How can we tell that it's not? We barely interacted with it.
Look at pages 6, 8, and 15. Look at all the facial muscles. Look at the extreme range of motion in its arms, hands, and fingers. And look at the complexity of its upper respiratory system. And look at the complexity of its upper respiratory system.
That thing is a social beast.
That thing is a social beast. That thing can assume a wide range of facial expressions than any creature in this world can even imagine. Use its hands to shape objects and words, and probably produce sounds of such wide variety that it would shame the most complex of our dialects. If that thing knew how to handle a rifle it had never seen or touched, do you think it can figure out how to open the rift? It is much more intelligent and dangerous than the whitecoats thought. It can certainly read our simple emotions, understand our brutish writings, and interpret our primitive language. No, that motherfucker can speak, and our only hope is that it won't phone home. End of story. All right, let me catch up with chat. While I hydrate. Hydration for the win. New people, I'm not picking my nose. There is a constant war between my moustache and nose hairs. The innocent person involved in this is me and my itchiness. It is similar to some I've done, but it could also have been narrated by net narrator. It is 8 months old, so it's very possible. I used to use an electric kettle. I no longer use an electric kettle. For no other reason than electricity is a crapshoot. So, with a kettle only works when there's power. So now we just use a gas kettle. It takes longer, but at least it works all the time.
Thank you for the channel membership, Randy Carter. Is very much appreciated. Yeah. I think it would be more Elliot phone home than E.T. phone home. Yes. Waterfell. It seems stupid, but it's trying to reset the flow when I do the weird sounds. If that makes sense. Because a lot of the time, the problem isn't like spelling or grammar. It's the flow doesn't go the way I think it does, so I need to like reset the flow. And then it's just become a habit to make the stupid noises. You would think so, sir, but yeah. It has been an epic battle since I was, I don't know. Well, I want to say 18, but I didn't have a moustache then. Definitely since my 30s. Good morning, Squirrel Lords Gaming. Hope you're doing well. No. I don't think I had a phone notification. Well, that reminds me, I did have a Twitch notification when I was reading. Ah, it was Wolfos with the subscription. It's very much appreciated, Wolfos. I mean, when it's really bad, you'll see I stop and I kind of like take a deep breath and send to myself. That's to reset the flow and stuff. Because I found if you just keep trying to do it, you just get the wrong flow and it just keeps getting worse. So at some point you need to just take a moment and then just recenter yourself or whatever. So the noises help with that for a little bit, and then for the extreme stuff, it's basically just center yourself, take a moment, close your eyes, that sort of stuff. Right, let's do some editing. Well, let's do some audio normalizing. It's not quite editing. And good morning to you too. Hope you're having a fantastic day. The creature from the rift. Sounds awesome, Wolfos. Right, the next video is a two-story video. So, you get that. First, close that. Move that. Minimize that. Open this. Yeah, it's very much like breaking your cadence and walking. So, narrating is more about predictive text than anything else, I've found. So, to read smoother, you're not necessarily only reading ahead, but you're predicting what the next word is going to be. And it works well when it works. But if somebody's writing style is very different from the way I'm used to, especially in a one-shot, that difference between the words that they use and what I think they should use, or my predictive text says that they should be using, that's when you see me struggling with a story. But when a story aligns closer to what my predictive text says, then I can do long chunks without messing up. Yeah. I mean, she's in the other room, busy editing already. No rest for the wicked. Good morning, Candaria. Hope you're doing well. Ooh, treachery. That's what the next one's called. Creature from the Rift. Well, less of the muhaha and just more of the treachery. That is a series. Okay. Calc. You need to find a appropriate second story. This might take a while, but we can have a chat while I do this. Ooh, hold on. So, the second story in this video is actually part of a series. So, I can't do it as part of a TFOS. So, we'll go to full chat mode while I figure this out. I have to open up the unruly spreadsheet and go get another story. Oh, I'm glad. Candaria. Look, I'm an organic TTS machine. That's the trick. So when you here's a very good example. Alien words, or alien names. I'm so used to alien names that when I see a word that I don't recognize as a word, an actual word, I just make it up and make it sound alien. So, I mean, it could be someone's name in French, but if I don't recognize that it's French, I'll just go with, it's an alien word. It doesn't even cross my mind that it could be a different language. I just, what is that? So, yeah, there is that. And a famous one, well, not famous, a good example of this is primitives and primates. A lot of stories use one of those words. Few stories use both of those words. But if there was one where like 5 stories in a row, they kept saying primates. And then I read a story, and instead of saying primates, they said primitives. But my brain was stuck on primates, so I just kept saying primates. Fair enough, Kevin. Fair enough. Okay, have you loaded? Yes, you have loaded. Do you have a 4+ minute story for me? No, not that one. I think we'll go with that one. That reminds me. Of a story. It was actually quite good. I can't remember who did it. It was this degenerate horror author. Degenerate for his species. It was like the best horror author in the universe. And a secret government organization comes to him to start writing some books about this new species. And he starts reading their fiction books, and he goes crazy. He just goes bad. He writes the books for the government, but it drives him up the end. It's like eldritch writings. They just worm their way into his brain. And, you know, he can't believe any creatures could write fiction like this. And it goes on and it goes on. And eventually he sneaks into the place where all this is coming from, which is Earth. And the fictions he was reading was our history books. So I thought that was fun. Yeah, so the previous story had some very big grammatical errors and spelling mistakes. So it's like stepping on a pebble when you're walking. It just messes the flow up. You know what it's like? Have you ever seen runway models? And they get the wobbles. So they stand skew on the high heels. And then they get the wobble. And then they try correct. and it just keeps getting worse and worse. It's kind of like that. Where the most reasonable thing is to stop and start again. Yeah, that's right. Unfortunately, no disrespect to any authors, but after 4,000 stories, they kind of do swish together in my brain. So even recognizing if I've read a story before is becoming more and more difficult. Nope. Why is this on the list? I've done this story. Never give up, never surrender. I love that line. So to the point where my wife says it. She's never watched the movie, but she'll say it. I'm like, yes, never give up, never surrender. What am I doing? Oh. Checking to see if I've actually done the story. I have done the story. My spreadsheet is lying to me, chat. Now I need to open it again. Oh, I need to convert this to a database. Yeah, I will. Look, my wife loves horror movies, not so much science fiction. And we don't really watch as much movies as we used to. When entertainment is your job, you tend to not do entertainment as a hobby. Okay, let's try that again. 6 to 8. No. Okay. Sure, this one. Let me just double check. Okay, I think we got the second story. It's a good one. It's called Trust Me, Bro. Which we might be able to break out the dude bro voice. Whoa, dude! Whoa, whoa! First it was like, whoa, and then it was like, whoa! And then it was like, whoa! Save and close. All right. Cool. We have the second story. Now, which specific story is that remind you of? definitely Finding Nemo. Well, kinda. That would be funny. Yes, frat boys of the universe. If that's true, I want to see the Tucker and Dale versus Evil, where Tucker and Dale are aliens, and the frat bros and girls are humans that keep killing themselves. If you haven't seen Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, you need to watch it. It is awesome. It's funny and awesome. Redneck aliens. Yeah, that could work. I think I'll watch that later. It's a good movie. Sam cast his foolishness when he left into another branch of the fog. And shut it while we go behind him there. Spotted him again. He's part of a new series. Well, new. New. It's like several old, but it's an alien series. It was called... that I've been thinking about watching. Where was it? I don't know how good it is. But it is on Sci-Fi Channel, so again, no idea how good it is. Sci-Fi Channel is very hit and miss. They either knock it out the park, or they pretty much don't. Resident Alien is the one I'm thinking of. Still ongoing, 34 episodes. Alrighty. Short but sweet, 7 minutes-ish. Alright. Green. Alrighty. About to start the new one. Video recording, audio recording, scene changed, still no glasses. And away we go. Greetings, ladies and militants, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called Treachery, written by The Cursor Hasn't Moved. Zam had often heard it said, "Do not betray a human," and he hadn't. Everyone knew how spiteful, how vengeful, how vindictive the normally adorable heavy worlders were if you betrayed their trust. Normally, it was stories about neighbors making life miserable for the offending person, or co-workers making the daily grind unnecessarily tedious for petty satisfaction. However, in the line of work Zam was in, planetary surveying, things could get a lot more dangerous than getting scolded by the corporate manager, or paying a fine to the city. Which is why Zam had always made a point to never, ever, even accidentally fail to meet his end of the bargain with his bodyguards, the human ones, anyway. In point of fact, he even put his ship at risk of vandalism to extract one human. They had a nasty tendency of surviving being left for dead and being strangely touchy about people assuming that they had died. However, Zam was at that point bitterly regretting just going off rumors. He was hot, deliriously hot, even in the temperate fog of the unexplored world, from running. He dared not stop to pant away the heat and drink some cooling water, though. He kept an eye on the forest floor for any bodies of water, a lake, a river, a stream, a puddle, anything, to douse his fur with so that he could run for another minute. He hadn't gone back on his word with a human. He hadn't left one behind in danger. He had only done the pragmatic thing and assumed that the uplift, the doggo, had already died to the massive thing of claws and scales. That hadn't been the first time that band of mercs had lost a member to wild animals. Or even some local primitives. So Zam had expected the humans to let leaves fall where they may. They had apparently counted Frodo as one of the family. The mercenaries apparently had startling loyalty to each other, if not always to the employer. Zam cursed his foolishness as he leapt to another branch in the fog and shuddered at the whooping call behind him. They had spotted him again. Didn't they ever stop? Evidently not. When it came to revenge, he might have talked his way clear of this current predicament if he had understood what the humans and Doggo's relationship was like. He had assumed that the Doggo was a servant of sorts. The humans don't practice slavery, but they do have hierarchies. This one seemed like a dominance one, fitting for mercs, and Frodo had clearly been at the bottom. Always kept in the middle of the pack, never trusted to range out alone, always a senior member looking over his shoulder. So naturally, Zam had assumed that Frodo was the most expendable. The newest and least cared about member. He had been wrong. "You left the new kid?" Maxim had asked sharply. "Yes, and it's good that you did not invest too much in him yet," Zam had answered.
The other four and Maxim cast cold glances at Zam as they conferred in that secret Terran language impenetrable to translators. Zam had once tried to bribe a Terran smuggler into getting him a translation matrix for it, but had barely escaped from the encounter alive. He should have fled back to his ship then. He should have apologized for not being able to save Frodo instead of trying to console them that they hadn't lost much on the new member. Takoda stepped forward and said in the commercial English coldly, "Since you left our friend to die like prey, that is how you die. Run, now. You have 60 seconds to get ahead."
You can't be serious. We've been working together for years.
Well, now why do you think that we are giving you... Why do you think that we're giving you a head start? Finley asked through a cloud of noxious smoke. 50 seconds, Tarek advised, as he bent down and weighed a small stone from the ground in his hand. Stupid prey is dead prey. Zam looked over the faces of his employees and found only blank slabs of stone there. He realized that he was going to die. Ever since, he'd been fleeing amongst the branches and relying on his superior climbing adaptations to keep out of range. That's not how English works. And relying on his superior climbing adaptations to keep out of range of the humans casting stones. They could cast them alarmingly far with only their arms, and Zam knew that they had their guns as well. He did not believe that their refraining was out of mercy. A stone whistled past his ear and snapped into the trunk on his A stone whistled past his ear and snapped into the trunk of the tree that he was traveling. The stone whistled past his ear and snapped into the tree of the trunk that he was traversing, and Zam cursed his bright orange and blue spotted fur. So comely to woman, so vibrant and virile, but more than enough to show him up against the greens, greys, and browns of the forest. He was cursing a lot of things about himself that day. Another stone came whistling through the air and struck him in the left knee, just as he was jumping. He missed his landing and grasped empty air with his forelegs. He crashed to the ground, weeping. He struggled up onto trembling legs and started taking a shuddering step towards the nearest tree. A boot connected with Zam's ribs and sent him tumbling through the ferns and loam until he skidded to a halt in a bed of flowers. He tried to stand, but his legs gave out. He lay there, panting, and most of all cursed his scorn for his father's flower farming business. At least the blossoms about him were a beautiful place too. End of story. Yeah, the structure wasn't great. I mean, I get the point of the story, but it's very structured. Long paragraphs, so probably European. It is my pleasure, Squirrel Lord Gaming. Thank you for spending your time with us. Okay, that's that one.
Alright. Voice is not happy today. Probably due to the sleep problem. But at least we got some work done. That's always a good thing. Two videos.
Set sail on a ship to the stars we shall roam.
Okay.
The vastness of space
Single narrative story.
like our home.
Well, specifically, it's an email chain. So it would have to be a single narrative story. Not narrative. Narrate. Whatever. Alright, video recording, audio recording, and away we go. Story number 2. Trust Me Bro, written by Extnader. Written by Etnox Factor Est. Message log from Drow Follox. From Lieutenant Drow Follox to Admiral Tigrint. Subject, promotion. Thank you for this incredible honor. It has long been my dream, it has long been my dream to command a ship in the Armada to the United Alliance of Planets. I will endeavor to lead with integrity and loyalty, and will help make Dauntless one of the finest ships in the fleet. You can count on me, sir. From Captain Drow Follox to Joshua Vindlow. Subject, a few questions, please. Mr. Vindlow, I have a few questions about some of the documents you left behind. As the former captain of the Dauntless, I have no doubt that you know the ship and its crew better than I. Still, I feel I must ask a few questions about Chief Engineer Garetti. He seems to have a larger supply budget than any other member of the crew. As Chief Engineer, this would seem reasonable. However, looking deeper into his order history, I found multiple purchases that seem to be useless or downright wasteful. The raw ores materials are understandable, even if the quantities are suspect. But why would he possibly need an atomic nail clipper, much less the 47 he requisitioned? And I see no reason why anyone on a starship would need touch-activated explosives. That seems to be an extreme safety hazard at best. When I checked to see who approved these requests, I found that Garelli apparently has carte blanche on any requisitions. His personnel file states that, and I quote, he can do whatever he wants. Can you explain this to me? From Captain Drow Follox to Joshua Vindlow. Screen. Thankfully, that was only 2 minutes. I do try to look down occasionally. Anyways. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer... No, that's not the beginning, because this is story number 2. Story number 2. Trust Me Bro, written by Etnox Factor Est. Message log of Drow Follox. From Lieutenant Drow Follox to Admiral Tigrint. Subject, promotion. Thank you for this incredible honor. It has long been my dream to command a ship in the Armada of the United Alliance of Planets. I will endeavor to lead with integrity and loyalty, and will help make the Dauntless one of the finest ships in the fleet. You can count on me, sir. From Captain Drow Follox to Joshua Vindlow. Subject, a few questions, please. Mr. Vindlow, I had a few questions about some of the documents you left behind. As the former captain of the Dauntless, I have no doubt that you know the ship and its crew far better than I. Still, I feel I must ask a few questions about Chief Engineer Garetti. He seems to have a larger supply budget than any other member of the crew. As Chief Engineer, this would seem reasonable.
However, looking deeper into his order history, I found multiple purchases that seemed to be useless or downright wasteful. The raw ores and materials are understandable, even if the quantities are suspect. But why would he possibly need an automatic nail clipper, much less 47 that much less the 47 he requisitioned? And I see no reason why anyone on a starship would need a touch-activated explosives. That seems to be an extreme safety hazard at best. When I checked to see who approved these requests, I found that Corelli apparently has carte blanche on any requisitions. His personnel's file states that, and I quote, he can do whatever he wants. Can you explain this to me? From Captain Drow Follux to Joshua Vintlow. Subject, a few questions, please. What do you mean, trust me, bro? From Captain Drow Follux to Chief Engineer Joseph Goretti. Subject, new restrictions. Mr. Goretti, I have reviewed your previous requisitions and work history, and feel that some changes must be made. While your record aboard the Dauntless has been impressive, your unconventional actions must be addressed. It appears that my predecessor was willing to overlook these issues, but I feel that I cannot. Until further notice, your job duties are to be restricted to ship maintenance and ship maintenance alone. Thank you for your cooperation. From Captain Drow Follux to Chief Engineer Joseph Goretti. Subject, ship maintenance. Perhaps I should have been more clear in my previous email. When I spoke of only allowing ship maintenance, I mean ship maintenance in line with official fleet handbook and authorized specifications. I am aware that your recent work allows us to reach Warp 4 from a standstill in approximately 20% of the time. I know you believe that you can totally cut that time down more if the last requisition was approved. I have no idea why you think we need a dozen pairs of roller skates for this, nor do I want to know. Return the engine to its previous state immediately. Until further notice, you're limited to using only Class 3 devices and lower. That should be more than enough to accomplish your duties. From Captain Drow Follux to Chief Engineer Joseph Goretti. Subject, pirate encounter. I am unsure how to respond to your previous actions. I'll be the first to admit that your work did indeed save the ship, but I am uncomfortable with how you did so. As you stated, you followed my instructions to the letter. The fluid replicator core is indeed only a Class 3 device. It did not occur to me that you could weaponize it. Apparently, neither did the pirates who assaulted us, nor would, I suspect, any sentient race in the galaxy. While unorthodox, transmuting the enemy vessel's hull into chocolate pudding was frighteningly effective. I lament the fact that we'll be stuck eating those horrible nutrient cubes until it is replaced. But it is better than being vaporized than the vaporization we were facing. Look, I see that your methods are effective, but I can't just let you experiment without limits. In the future, send requests as to what you want to do. If you give me a good reason, I'll likely approve it. From Captain Drow Follux to Chief Engineer Joseph Goretti. Subject, request for 14 antimatter lawnmowers. No, emphatically, no. Trust me, bro, it's not a valid reason. From Captain Drow Follux to Chief Engineer Joseph Goretti. Subject, emergency. Goretti, do something. We're surrounded and our shields won't hold. Just get us out of here. From Captain Drow Follux to Chief Engineer Joseph Goretti. Subject, re-emergency. Now is not the time for protocol. Whatever you want, it's approved. From Captain Drow Follux to Chief Engineer Joseph Goretti. Subject, I give up. You win. I have no idea how you did any of that. First, you somehow converted our cloaking device into some sort of phase engines. As a result, we got through the ships by literally going through the ships. That was not only unbelievable, it should have been downright impossible. Second, we didn't have a cloaking device, as far as I was aware, nor did we have any materials that could have remotely created one. But you did save us all. But you did save all of us. So effective immediately, forget every restriction I put on you. What do you want? Do what you want. From Captain Drowfollocks to Admiral Tigrint. Subject, Chief Engineer Goretti. Yes, sir, I'm aware that the Goretti's expenditures are entirely outside of regulations, but I must point out that the Chief's actions have saved the ship multiple times over, and I know it's outside of official standards, but I can proudly report that our ship can now reach Warp 4 in less than 15% of the time required by other ships. No, I don't know how he did it, but overall, sir, I must strongly argue for his continued service on the vessel, and that his work be allowed to continue. From Chief Drowfollocks to Admiral Tigrint. Subject, why should I allow any of this? Trust me, bro. End of story. Yeah, I think I'm only going to do 2 today. The old voice is being a diva today. Doesn't want to do work. Wants to put its feet up and enjoy the sun. Not a problem, Gene. It's very much appreciated that you pop past. However, they're probably going to be ending the stream soon. Yes, always fear of a bored human engineer. Fear of a bored human at all. One day at a time. Thank you for the membership. It's very much appreciated. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah. I mean, I want to try and get a month ahead. I know that is invoking the wrath of Murphy, but I want to get a month ahead so that when this move to Portugal happens, there won't be a break in the channel. I think that has significantly hurt the channel this year, over the last 14 months or so. Yep, I do know that I always get sick 2 weeks, but gotta do what I gotta do. I think it's going to be less troublesome than missing. I think in the last year, there's been 2 to 3 months where I didn't record. That's bad. It's affected the channel discoverability. The channel is only now recovering from the last batch of time off. So there should be new stories up for channel members today, and there will definitely be a new one tonight. Yeah, so, I mean, YouTube's doing its thing. And then tomorrow I need to make sure I don't stream for too long, because I've got my fingerprints. I have to go get my fingerprints taken. Right. Okay, I think I'm going to call it. It's been going for 2 hours. It's my pleasure, Andy. Unfortunately, I'm going to be ending the stream now, so I do apologize for that. Voice is not great today, probably related to smoke in the air and not sleeping well. Yep, YouTube doing YouTube things. So it's pretty simple. Yeah, so I'll see you all tomorrow
same time. Hopefully, I get some decent sleep tonight, and hopefully people aren't burning all sorts of random crap. 50% of that would be nice. Anyways, thank you all for spending your time with me. I know how valuable time can be, and I hope that I paid that back with entertainment value. I'd just like you to know that I appreciate you spending your time with me. And then I'll see you all tomorrow, 10 a.m. GMT+2. Hope you all have a good one.